what a beautiful morning. You're welcome to Women's Corner. My name is Rose Blossom. We're, of course, it's exciting rather to be here. I'm super excited because we have an amazing guest with us. But let's wait a little bit and introduce the program properly. Well, today we were talking about something interesting about a book, a writer, and of course, something more of a success story and changing the norm, the narrative. But if you're part of this program, you can actually join us via Facebook or on YouTube at Galaxy TV News. That's on YouTube and Facebook, Galaxy Television. You can be part of this program as well. I'm not doing this program alone. As usual, I have my co-host, Patricia. Good morning, Patricia.
Good morning. Good morning and happy new month, like we always say in Nigeria. Happy new month, folks. It's good to be here this morning. I know everyone is at home having holidays, but we're here working till
Well, it's part of the job.
It's
I
Women's
love
Corner.
my job, so yes, you can stay home. Let me do the talking here.
Oh.
Happy.
It's Women's Corner. Anyway, my name is Patricia Uremu Gabriel.
Okay, so yes, I didn't say Happy New Month earlier, though. Happy New Month. It's May. So May is just conquer, take up all what you need. And, when people are saying you don't deserve it, take it. You deserve it. Earn it. It's yours. And make sure you celebrate every little success that comes your way. Anyway,
I didn't want to tell you before we introduce our guest. It's my birthday month, guys.
So that means we're having cake this month.
No way. That means giving me gifts.
I'm giving you gifts. Should I?
From the guests of Women's Corner.
Okay, all right. So we have a guest in the house as usual. Her name is Chidinma Ifunayachi. Of course, she's born and raised in Camberwell, London, by, of course, the British Nigerian parents, and she is a storyteller. Trust me. Sitting with her just before the program, she has had stories that probably should fill 2 books already. So yes, she's an emerging actress. She's a filmmaker. She's a creative writer. And of course, she has intricately weaves personal experience into all of her works. And of course, her dedication to filmmaking culminated in Validated, a film on YouTube. That film is on YouTube, Validated, so you can go there and watch it. Well, when I introduce her, when we get to see her face, she still has a YouTube channel, so we can actually go see her. Well, hopes to connect to the next generation through her works in films, books, and art in general, while setting a legacy that transcends time and bringing it up from the United Kingdom to Africa. It's good to have you, Chidinma. Good morning.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
How you doing?
Very well.
So you're going to tell us a lot of stories today.
That's
what you do.
She's ready and looking pretty anyway.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
So tell me first, before we even go for it, I know lots of people start asking you questions, but I just want to know, why did you go into storytelling?
I wanted to change the narrative regarding Nigerians particularly, because you know that all Nigerians are scammers, there's much more to us than scamming. And I want to be able to tell it from a genuine point of view. We are a rich culture, we're a rich people. There's so many layers that are untapped regarding us. So I want to be able to help change that. The drop of an ocean is literally not. So at least I do my own part. Somebody else does their own part and slowly help change things.
Okay, amazing. So yes, that's Chidinma. But before we start asking the questions about her book, she wrote a book, and the book is The Importance of Names. Yes, I have a copy, and of course my co-hosts have a copy. So when we come back, we'll definitely be talking about the story of this book. Why this book? Why this story? And what exactly is she trying to do for the future? Like she said, she wants to talk to the next generation. So let's go for the short break and we get a tip. A tip is for content creators who want to create content. There's one thing I always say, when you're creating content, well, there are a lot of people that say you have to create stupid content if you really want to make it. Like, just make the content very crazy. And but I would say let your content be creative, let it be legit, and that way, and that way, trust me, it might not move mountains now, but it will later on. So let's quickly take this tip and we'll be right back to the studio to continue with the program with Patricia and of course Chidinma. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Well, we're having a little chit chat behind the camera. Well, that's it for content creators and content creation. And of course, we're still discussing about content creators and the creation of it, behind the camera. But it's amazing how, the negative, the bad, the ones that doesn't seem to promote nothing, tend to see the eyes of to be in the eyes of the public. Anyways, let's go over to Chidinma. So tell me, the book is The Importance of Names. So I want to ask first, why that? Because trust me, if people were to, go through books, we just put your books at the library. The name might not look so catchy, but by the time you tell the story, it is something that everybody should actually read, even parents and children.
Right.
So tell me, why the story? Why the story?
So I needed something that was obvious from the jump, right? So as soon as you pick it up, okay, this is a book about names and how they're important. I needed something that people would be able to see immediately without having to even guess over what's inside. So I know it's a boom title, but I needed it to be clear so that there's no room for ambiguity. That's the reason for that. Especially because this is a book targeted at children. So when parents are looking online or however they shop themselves, I need something that's going to improve confidence, everything else. It's just about names. If you type in names, this book will come up. This book is available on Amazon. So that's where we buy things in the West. So that was the reason, that angle. It's easy to find, easy to understand what it's about. That's the reason.
Okay, so tell us about the book. What is the story in the book? So that people could actually even hear it.
So in the West, if you come from African or Asian or even any background that's not a white person's background, if you have a long name, you are 9 times out of 10 going to be bullied just because of the name. It sounds funny to them. So, for example, kids like Maya Wild was called mayonnaise.
Wow. Really? I needed to know.
How does Maya become
I know it's hard to fathom on this side.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, "Oh, your name is funny. You're strange, but it's not because it's different from the Lukes and the Johns and the Williams. It's because it's something they're not familiar with, and they ridicule it. That's why kids are cool, So those kids, even what's his name, Funke became Funky, Titilayo became Tits. Pardon my rubbish. If you know what that means.
Yeah.
So a lot of children, as a result of that, suffered a lot of psychological damage and a sense of trying to hide themselves because of how much they were bullied and the kids who selected them and chosen them other side made them feel different. Yeah. And even teachers will even say, they look at the name of the register when they're marking and say, do that look fresh? Can I just call you? So let's say like Oluton Tunde or something. Can I just call you Tony?
Oh wow!
Whoa. Yeah. And then sometimes for peace of life and peace of mind, kids just say yes. So a lot of the kids adopt names or nicknames just for an easier life, and that's wrong because you're diluting your culture. You never catch an Oimbo man say Uzoma or it's a vertical signer. So we are in an era now where Black Afro and Burna Boy and Lucy Boy things actually are making it. But 20 years ago, this is not what it was like. And everyone I've spoken to, I said, this is my story. This happened to me. We're calling it #name trauma. And I just want people to not allow ourselves to be diluted. Because even if every parent said, okay, cool, because of this now, all of our kids are going to have Oyibo names. 30 years from now, they'll be no African names.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about that? Your name is the first thing you're given.
Your identity.
It's the first thing. They even give you pamper. You have a name. Yeah. And then like in our culture, and it's so important, we have naming ceremonies like the Yorubas. You have the whole thing where your father's mother will give you a name. Then your mother's mother will give you a name. Then our child will have 10 names. And then your name when they say your name, it's a sentence. So, yes, God brought me joy in the And I love that about us. I love that for us. Which one says, what is your name? And then they translate it like, wow, that's really cool. It's a sentence. If you find a Chidima, God is good.
God is good.
I like that. My parents told me, I said, God is good. And I feel like it's a very important thing to highlight because now, because of the influence of social media, a lot of people are wanting to go to that whole call me Vanessa, Sasha, all these things that they think sound cool, but have no correspondence to your culture, to who you are. Yeah. I'm not knocking it because it means something to everybody, but not for you. That's not where you come from. And what I've learned since being home, the research is now even kids born and raised in Nigeria are facing the same thing. True. I didn't know that was a thing here. Because I thought the West makes sense already.
Yeah, of course, yes.
For it to be happening on home turf is actually hard. So, a child that was born and raised in Nigeria will say, oh no, I want to be called Yisha.
They don't even want to use it.
They don't want.
So what do you say about people who their parents gives them their own native name, and when they get to school, they decide to use an English name?
Okay, I'm going to talk about my story because Blossom laughed at me for my name. Blossom
Yes, I
say,
did.
yes, say it
I
on
beg,
air.
bring it first. That's the first
Say
thing
it
I
on
have to do.
air.
Can you
So,
pronounce it as one
so
word?
do you know she laughed at me?
Yes.
Thank God you're talking about names here.
See?
Yes, she did. She did. She bullied me.
Patricia,
Mhm.
pronounce your name.
No,
Wait first. Wait.
Chidima, Chidima, Chidima. Okay, let me pronounce my
Pronounce your
name.
name.
I'm going to pronounce the full name.
Yes, ma'am.
I gave her the short and she still laughed at me. So let me pronounce the full name. My full name is Uru Mwarawa. For the short pronunciation,
Because
I didn't say I had to say it. I can
Okay.
appreciate the name. I didn't say I wanted to
yeah,
say it.
but the short pronunciation is Uremu. That's easy for anybody to pronounce, okay? But when I told her, she laughed at me on air. She bullied me.
oh, I bullied you. No, I was laughing because the name was hard for me to
And
pronounce.
she asked me the meaning. I told her.
What's the
She
meaning?
laughed the more. She laughed the
What's the meaning of the name?
more. Chidima, keep, don't worry. Behind the camera.
Do you see what I mean? So everybody has a name story. Do you see? This is the thing.
That's true. But I'm happy she's using a name now because before she would always use Patricia Gabriel. So
Because
someone had
nobody
to
wants
speak-
stress.
Yeah. So someone had to tell her.
Someone here guessed here, like, don't you have a native name? And I decided to use the native name. And of course, Blossom bullied me. The reason why I stopped using the native name because I was bullied in school, and then she did the same thing here.
I just can't pronounce it. I don't know. You don't have
No, but you just take your time, and even if you can't pronounce it, and like you said, okay, short form your name, and to learn. But then even then, to laugh, this is not nice. This is a
I want to cry now. She's laughing at my name.
Sorry,
No.
don't tell us the meaning.
No, I'm not going to say the meaning.
The name was just amazing, but I could not pronounce it.
Oh my
So,
God.
okay, let's go back to what we're talking about. Now, for people who have an amazing name or choose to go with their English name or maybe coin an English name for themselves, what would you say about people like that?
I would say first of all, I understand, and with everything, with everyone in life, be treat people with grace, kindness. For somebody to do that, you know that they've seen something. They don't hear when
Mhm.
I've seen some things.
Mhm.
It's not my place to judge them, right? If that's what they decide they want, fine. It's nothing. You have to say now we're in a generation where everyone says, use my pronouns. My pronoun is this, my pronoun is that. I can't tie up with them. But if someone tells you, no, my name is Orubeve, and you say you're gonna call him John, now we have a problem because he didn't tell you to call him John.
Yeah.
You learn the Oruve, whatever you learn it
Mhm.
out of respect for someone, you know. But this is the issue, as you can see, is the issues. And this is what I want to highlight. I don't want a situation where 40 years from now there's no such thing as an African name. You know, on the how many Africans are there? Millions. Why would we? Why? There's no reason why our culture should be diluted or die out, regardless of wherever we end up. Whether we end up, like, go and live in China, go and live in space. Your name is your name. You know.
Well, how about some persons who just deliberately they have amazing, native name, but they still do not want to go that way. They rather want to go for an English.
Because again, you don't know what that person's been through. You haven't been in their seats.
Mm.
So even if you say that name is, your name is, beautiful name, excellent.
Yeah.
You don't know what they have seen because of that. So the trauma, a lot of them is for the sake of an easier life, and like our dear sister here that you traumatized.
Mhm. Yeah.
That now because of that they
Get
may
a
have a
lawyer
beautiful
for
name,
that.
but they, I did.
Yeah, please go ahead.
You need to again approach everything with love.
Yeah.
Someone says to you, "Oh, your name is beautiful, thank you, but I'd rather be called John or Jane." We respect it. That's the thing. But people then, my issue here is people trying to force you to take on a nickname because they can't be bothered to either learn how to pronounce your name or respect it enough. And say, we call you Mary. What? No.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what I want for African children. Be proud of who you are, your identity. Do you know the blessing it is to be an African? I know it doesn't feel like that a lot of the time because of politics and it's right there, but this soil that we come from, rich in everything that we need.
Mhm.
So our names, as a result of that richness, someone tells you a name, they're like, have you ever heard that? Like someone has told you what their name is,
And you feel so powerful, like,
wow.
I
Okay, so but Chidima, I want to ask you this question. Okay, I think the name thing, it's more common in Nigeria. Everybody wants to answer their native names. 80% of Nigerian youths now want to answer the English names. But I know in other African countries, they're so proud of their names, even if it's difficult to pronounce. Because I remember going to Gabon some months ago, their names were very difficult to pronounce. And I was asking, do you have an English name? I said, no, that's the name I have. Learn it. Yes. And I had to try to learn to pronounce their names before I left Gabon. I was there for like 4 days. But back here in Nigeria, you quickly say, yes, I have English name, just like the when Blossom, try to make jest of me. I quickly told them my English name is Patricia, so she could let me breathe, So what do you think is a problem?
2 things. One, attitude. Nigerians are aggressive in general, whether they mean it or not. Our graggras a lot. And you don't want to do a grabber every day of your life. The Gabonese people are not like us.
Yes, they
a lot more gentle, a lot more calm. A Nigerian would drag with, say, I beg, I need you, I beg, give me English. Immediately lock up. No problem. Because I don't want to life is already hard enough. I don't want anything that's going to compile on that. So I think attitude is the issue. Also religion. We're a 50-50 nation. So if majority are Christians, a lot of the names, Sarah, Elizabeth, these are biblical names. So you can't really argue with that because it's like, but that's the name. My daughter's going to be an Esther from the Bible. So I can't argue, but I don't know what the Gabonese. I don't know if they're a Christian nation. Are they Christians or Muslims?
I don't know. I never took note of that. I don't know. Not certain.
But I think these are the things that also impact us because the belief in the names. Like, yes, my son is going to be a Jacob. My son is a David.
John.
He's a David. David because he's a that. Because we want those the traits of that biblical character to then pass down. So I understand that again from that aspect. But I didn't even say don't ever give them. But the fact is, we emphasize too much on giving them those names as opposed to the native names. Now there's too much pressure. So, you're local if your kid doesn't have an English name, and that's a problem for you.
It's a big problem.
So I have 2 questions to ask. Now, the first is for the parents. I have most parents now, the generation of parents we have now, they tend to give their children native names. And I don't know, I don't want to believe it's because maybe their name will not pronounce correctly. I think it's the fact that I just want them to have an English name rather than having it. Maybe the native name is there, but they don't put it on their birth certificate, they don't put it maybe on their school certificate and all of that. Then that's why. So why do you think, or what would you say to parents who, take up native name? And also for people who they mispronounce their name. Someone like her name, I couldn't pronounce that, I just started laughing.
No,
because
it's fine.
in my head, it was already more
It's fine.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm getting a lawyer for that. It's okay.
Okay, so let's take an example like Chidinma. My elder sister is Chidinma. I could understand that she had to start using joy because you hear Chidinma. And it was just it was irritating. It wasn't even making sense because the name is a beautiful name. So somebody said she was new, it doesn't make sense. So she had to change it to joy, and everybody was cool with her because she wants that meaning to ring a bell every time you mention the name. So if you are in the category of people mispronouncing your name, how should you do with things?
I think
parents also.
Okay, so if you have a name that's difficult to pronounce, also the same grace that you're expecting to be extended to you, extend that same grace. Yeah, because some names are really difficult. So that example of the guy with that African longest name in Africa guy, when it trended those years ago, right? You have to think now, this guy, what his life would have been like. Yeah, meeting people that say, "Okay, just come here," which will be the first 4 letters. If he insisted, look, guy, this is my name, don't do like that. You break it up, small pieces. Even if someone keeps getting it wrong, the fact that they keep trying, don't say, no, don't be aggressive. That's why let's be kind to one another. Your name has 25. Your name is 25 letters of the alphabet. The alphabet gets 26 letters.
I'm telling you.
So your name is the alphabet. Let's be nice now. Let's be guided. So gentle. Break it up. My thing is say it in a way that makes it easy to say. So even like Shidma, right? That you see, Chi. Break it up. Din, ma, like mama. Finish. Chidemar. So even might be like Chidemar. Work on it. They get there, Chidi. Oh, Chidi. Chidi. How do you say Chidi? So sometimes they'll pronounce that CH as Chi, right? Like it's an ongoing battle, but it's mine to fight, right? I can easily say, I beg, CNN, just call me Joy, just call me Lucy. And no one's going to judge me for that. I understand. So it's down to what I can take as well. Do I want to have to spend every day gently teaching, or is it a case of, this is the thing, so you have to decide how much can I take on a daily basis, especially if you're like in a building where you're working with people who don't understand that pronunciation, so it's a constant thing every day.
You want to teach every day.
After like 1 month, you're very
you retired. Yeah, you retired.
Humans. So I think again, grace. Sorry, what was the second question?
The second question: parents who do not see the reason to give their children a good tutor.
I think there's, I don't know what it is about certain Nigerians that feel like it's Nigerian culture, it's backwards. That's a lot of the mentality that we have, some of us. So they want to bring their children as far away from our culture as possible. So you give them fair names, send them abroad, and go. The problem here is you are denying that child basically a part of their essence. Even if you say want to have it on legal documentation, if that's what is your thing, but to just completely deny it, what is the reason? So then you go and adopt an Igbo name that has nothing to do with being African or being Nigerian. I have a great problem with that. I do, but I feel like we have to stop putting white people and white culture above our own. Since slavery, since colonization, we are still doing that. Then now, because of social media, the Instagram, the TikToks, everything that white people do, or everything I want to follow. I want to go out and do.
Just like the white wedding.
Just like
Don't let's go there. Just like the white wedding.
Spend
to have the white wedding done. That's the tradition. Is the traditional wedding for the white people, for the Western people.
Yeah.
But we brought it in here and says white wedding. Over it even.
What is the reason for that? We had our own systems, our own traditions, our own practices before white people ever stepped foot here. Why are we so quick to abandon those things?
What do you think is the problem? Give us the answer.
They're desperate to belong because the white people still have power worldwide. They still run the world. So if you want to go to London, I don't have a visa, but if they want to come here, if they decide to find visa, but for the most part, they deny us entry because it's like, you don't have access to white. But if you come from one of those as a white person to any of those other white countries to come for a Schengen visa, what is the reason for that? They're intentionally blocking us out, right? They've got what they want from us. They've taken out, our resources. Blah, 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 we are constantly playing catch up. Accept us. That's the problem. It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's very heavy.
Let's take a break. Let's have some breathing here. So let's take a short break, and of course, let's take tips for dress baby. I actually picked this because we were talking about names, and like she said, a name is given to a child even before your first diaper. So let's go check out tips and dressing baby. I'll be right back. Of course, at this time, we're going to wrap up the show. We're right back. Well, we're talking about names. Still talking about names. Okay, so Trisha, I don't know if you have a question for her, but I have what?
Yeah. The question, the importance of names. What are the importance of names?
Well, to answer that in a quick form, the importance of your name is because the idea when our parents give birth to us that you will live out the meaning of your name.
Okay.
That's why it's important. So people like I saying, like we said before, literally, I want to name my daughter's an Esther, my son is David, because of what those people live. So that my child will be strong, courageous, fight. So depending on the meaning of your name, it means like Akuna, for example, in Igbo culture, it means father's wealth, father's God. So the idea is,
So your name is Chidima.
Yes.
Can you tell the public what the meaning of your name is?
My name is Chidima, which means God is good, right?
And has God been good to you?
Of course.
Looking at you. Looking at you.
So good. I'm so grateful. Like how the trajectory of my life. And I'm not rich, but God has been more than kind. And I feel like maybe some people's life has not gone as it should have gone because the names that they were given, they weren't able to walk in that light.
Okay, but let me bring Oluchi to the story now. We had a guest here who told us that all through lifetime she had struggled to get good things. But her name is Oluchi.
Mm.
What's the meaning of Oluchi?
God's word. Yeah. God's
So
word.
why does she have to
Work of God.
struggle
Because it's still the work of God.
It's still,
to
you don't say
struggle?
that as Christians, you're not gonna find
No,
out.
but you don't, you know, she me yesterday and she told me she still has stories to tell.
Okay.
She said everything that everybody goes, you know, does it easy. She struggles to do it. She told us how she wrote Jam, YX, maybe five times and all that. You know, so
Be like say your sister needs to live right.
not be my sister. Chidima, please. She was a guest.
I'm saying there's sometimes some generational, some family.
So now you're talking.
No, but let's call it what it's some bound.
And then now you're talking. So sometimes even when you have a fantastic name and there's a problem in the family, the name doesn't follow. So that's where I'm going to. That's where I'm going to.
It's the intention. They give birth to a child. They say, okay, what is what? This one is my my joy, my this, my that. So this child will live up to this. That's always the intention. No, we're not psychics, so you can't see what this child's going to become. You can't be an arrow about that.
Even with that,
you know when they catch criminals, and they put their name out, and it's like Moses Wanko. I'm like, give the cool name. Who sent you? What's happening? But as a parent, you can only do what you can do, the best you can do. So the beginning of all of that, I give my child a strong name first before before I ever send them to school. Do you understand? God's power. Somebody I know called God's power. As in,
the power has to be there.
Only in just get God's power.
You know, it's amazing. When we're talking, and something just came to my mind. There were in the Bible where a woman changed her name to bitterness. Now, that is someone who had maybe a nice name and decided to change something bitter because of her experience in life. You understand?
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. I feel like there might be people out there who this take for original. She decided to still stay strong on the name. And trust me, I feel like she should use her name to pray. That's the best thing.
Oh no, she is. Yeah.
So, but what would you say about people who, like the lady who changed her name to bitterness? But what level do you think someone would have gotten to change?
I mean, you got to think. I mean, in the Bible, many times where name change. Yeah. Abraham and Abraham. So there's been several different characters because they understand that once you change your name, you change course of your life from whatever it was going to whatever it's going to be. Jimmy Paul was a prisoner. You understand? All these things. This woman now, not in her shoes, you don't know what she was going through. That kind of torment where you're like, my life is not making sense again. This name I'm using that it's not doing anything. It's not making sense. Maybe I just follow and just want to go back. Some people just like as an act of rebellion. Shows everything is going back. Oh yeah, let's start finally. So you gotta kind of have to sympathize with that. What would it take to push somebody to do that? To do such? Because she understands the weight of it.
Oh, amazing. Well, we have to
nice time.
Time is already up.
I wanted to ask a question too, so I just checked my time.
Well, it's been an amazing session with you, Gina. Trust me, I did learn a lot. And I love the fact that you thought a lot of people out there to embrace their native name and to stop parents who are taking out the native name and write it in the English name. You have to embrace. They're also talking about white word. In fact, that's not something you say.
The story for another day. Story for another day.
Because trust me, I don't know why we keep doing that, but anyway, thank you so much for being on the show. It was amazing. You're really a storyteller. Do you know that?
In few minutes, she told us a lot of stories.
Trust me. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the show.
I've had a time. I'm sad it's over.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay, Patricia.
Thank you, Chidima. Blossom had already thank you, but I want to thank you especially. You might trust me. And so that's a wrap from us on Women's Corner. I'll be back for the buzz by 12 noon. Blossom and I will be here. Join us.
Yes, and that's it on today's show. Tomorrow's going to be another promising day. Of course, like she said, we'll be joining you on the buzz. We'll be talking about relationship and what has been on social media. On today, my name is Rose Blossom.